All right. So today we're going to be talking about avoiding burnout in our real estate careers because, as we know, burnout can happen with anything, right? With life, with marriage, with family, with anything. We even get burned out in vacations sometimes, don't we? We need vacations from our vacations. So, with that being said, I know my daughter has three little ones, and she, they were all three under four, and she also has one that's a type 1 diabetic. So she has really been my focus on learning about, and my motivation and inspiration, I should say, about burnout, because she has been able to really be very effective in everything she does, managing her son's medical issues, managing her life, managing her career. She's also a realtor, and it makes me very proud, mama, of course, but even me with all the years of experience, um, I'm able to learn because, we should be learning every day, right? And seeing what she's done, I apologize. I'm looking down. My glasses were really dirty and I couldn't see. Um, so seeing what she does has been part of my motivation every time I teach this topic. So she has been able to find a way to really manage her life. And that's what we all have to do. And sometimes, we get to that point of burnout and we just have to what? Reset, right? If we just have to push that reset button. I don't know, was it Best Buy or one of those that had the easy button that kind of looked like this one? And
Staples.
which one was it?
Staples.
Staples. See, I couldn't remember who it was. And, the funny thing is, there's nothing easy, right? And it was a great marketing, but to me, I always kind of laughed when I saw that because I was like, yeah, right, easy. Nothing in life is easy, especially when you're working hard towards a goal. And like the other day, I was watching Ninja Turtle. I really just said that. The Ninja Warriors. I can't believe I just said Ninja Turtle, Ninja Warrior competition. And of course, like I mentioned, I have a type 1 diabetic grandson, and the girl that won is a 16-year-old type 1. And she made a comment that I kind of stole her quote because I love what she said. They asked her, what are the challenges you've had to face as a type 1 and being an athlete? And she's also a competitive mountain climber. And she got diagnosed at 11. And if you don't know much about type 1 diabetes, usually you get diagnosed when you're just about dead. I mean, you usually go into what's called DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, and you are dying. And she was in the middle of a competition and she was going into DKA. And so they asked her, how is it that you're about to achieve winning the Ninja Warrior competition? And she said, well, when I got diagnosed, and this is a 16-year-old, wisdom from a 16-year-old. She said, I learned how to manage my diabetes, and I learned that I don't need easy. I need possible. And I loved that comment, that quote. I don't need easy. I just need possible. And that's how I think we need to look at even our careers. It's not easy. If anyone tells you, if you go to pre-licensing, I'm teaching pre-licensing right now, I tell the agents, the prospective agents, this is not easy, but it is possible. So what are some of the things that we have to do to reset? Often I talk about with two agents that are just ready to quit. That's it. My career is just done. And I myself have been there. And it's not an uncommon situation. And did you know that burnout is actually a medical condition? It really is. It's a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It's characterized by three dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. That's from the WHO, from the World Health Organization. And it's interesting to me to hear this because I did not realize that it was really a medical condition. When I was 16, I was actually a professional actress. Yeah, believe it or not. And with that, I was doing 3 different shows. I had just gotten my driver's license. I was driving from 3 different theaters. I was doing commercials in between, and I was exhausted. Well, I ended up
Mix it
in the
already.
hospital. Oh, let me go ahead and mute everyone for a moment.
You mix it already.
All right. So I ended up in the hospital at 15. I had to be 16 because I was driving. So I was 16 because I was so stressed out. Looking back, that was burnout. I had burnout. I literally had burnout. I was so stressed out. I hated doing these 3 shows and I love acting. So I was like, wow, and I ended up in the hospital for a week. And they actually had to give me magnesium and potassium, and I was depleted of everything. I was eating, but my body was so stressed out from working so hard and not being and really living unmanageably that I ended up almost ready to have a heart attack or a stroke at 16 years old. So this right here was kind of like an aha moment for me, knowing that it's actually considered a medical condition. So when we are starting to feel this way, understand that it is very, very important to know the signs and understand what is out there. So for instance, what's the most important thing? Mindset, right? We have to start our day with the proper mindset. And we have to understand that mindset is so important. Has anyone here ever done, and I have you guys muted, so you can either unmute or just shake your heads if you're on camera or chat. Has anyone here done or do now affirmations in the morning? If you haven't, I used to think they were the silliest things, but they really do help. You look at yourself in the mirror, every morning and say, and Shauna and Natalie, you're cracking me up because you're both wearing hats. So I keep looking at one of you thinking it's the other. So you might look at yourself and say, wow, I look really cute in this hat, right? And wow, I like myself. And don't look at yourself and think of anything at all negative, because you have to start that day with that proper mindset of I am worthy. I am important. I am successful. I don't care if you had the worst day possible yesterday. Reset, start that day anew. Every single day is a new day. You hear the 12-step programs that say one day at a time. There's some truth to that. Take every day, take every moment at a time and think of that. Because did you know that 80%, this is an actual fact, 80% of real estate agents burn out in their first 2 years? That's right, 80% actually burn out. They burn out from finding suitable properties to pricing them to market demand or listing them. Maybe they overprice them, and then they get frustrated because the seller's calling so much. I mean, that constant need to produce in real estate is a high pressure situation, right? It's draining, don't you think? So we have to be very aware that real estate is not easy, but it's possible. But it can make even the most optimistic agents feel fatigued. The business is set up so that if you don't take care of the whole picture, it's a holistic business, then burnout is almost inevitable. It's going to happen. When 80% of real estate agents burn out in their first 2 years of being licensed, we know that this is true. So the best way to avoid burnout is to make sure that we're taking the proper steps in order to take care of our business, as well as a way to take care of our lives and manage it so that we remain sustainable and we're able to prioritize. If you're taking calls at 11 o'clock at night from a seller because you don't want to lose that listing, you're going to end up in burnout. If you're not stopping your day and working for on you, you're going to end up burnt out. And it's going to be a situation that you're going to regret. So let's look at some of the signs of burnout. Pessimism towards work. You might start thinking every deal is going to fall through. You might have a great deal that comes up and you're like, yeah, this isn't even going to work. So you might begin to resent the time that you spent showing homes. Man, that buyer made me show her 20 homes, and I don't even think she's going to end up going through with this deal, right? I mean, I had a buyer that literally we had written like 5 offers, and on the last one, I'm like, oh, this is great. We did inspections. I'm like, she's going to close. She literally backed out at 11:58 p.m. the last day of due diligence because she got cold feet. This was a long time ago. But my point being that I had already kind of set myself up for that. Like I wasn't even surprised. So we don't want to have pessimism. If we do, we're going to be thinking the worst from the start. And that's never a good mindset. And real estate agents, burnout does show up differently for different people. We are all different people. We're all individuals. We might be looking at missed opportunities. A symptom of burnout can look like not following up on leads. Oh, I'm not even going to call that lead back because they're not even going to buy, right? That lead came from the internet. Oh, they're probably not even qualified, right? No, we need to follow up every single lead, right? But we might just not be mentally all there at that moment if we're going through burnout and we just don't have the energy to deal with that client. So we don't want to have those missed opportunities. We might be tired no matter what. Even if you get a couple nights of extra sleep, cases of severe burnout need more permanent routine changes. If you look at burnout, a lot of it is the same or very similar symptoms as what? Depression, right? Because we get into a situation where we make ourselves depressed and we don't want to be there. We want to make sure that we're avoiding that. And of course, we're starting this kind of like depressing because I'm telling you all these depressing things, but we're going to move on to some good things. But you might also have feeling like you have no recharge time. The pace and the constant problem solving, those customers that are high maintenance, right? They can be fun, they can be thrilling, but when you're burnt out, you feel like it's nonstop and intrusive. Oh, let them just text me. I'm not even going to call them back because you know what? I don't even want to talk to them, right? So we've all been there, all of us. Or we might just be irritable. I have a problem. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. My eyes will tell you the whole story. If I don't like you, you're going to know it. So it's like one of those things that I have to be really cautious. And if I'm burnt out or if I'm dealing with issues, I'm going to be irritable. So you want to be very cautious with irritability too, but that is definitely a sign of burnout. We've all heard the comment of, you just never know what someone's going through. So give them a little bit of a pass. And that's true even for us. Sometimes we're dealing with an irritable agent or a very tough agent. We don't know what they're going through. So let's give them not a pass, but let's be a little more sympathetic and try to understand what's going on. Because sometimes when we're getting that burnout, we're feeling that burnout from a transaction, it does spill out into our family and friends, into our private lives. And that is something we want to definitely try to avoid. And then, of course, we have the lack of creativity. We don't even start thinking creative thinking or strategy, and we have to grow a business. If we don't have creativity and we don't have a strategy and a plan, we're going to fail, right? So we want to make sure that we have the ability to concentrate and be creative. For me, creativity comes at night. That's just me. I tend to be one of those late nighters. My husband gets up super early. I still get up super early, but I just don't sleep much. So I'm one of those weird people that is totally good with 3 or 4 hours of sleep. But you know yourself. So whatever your amount of sleep is needed and your time of creativity, you need to find that and work on that. So, okay, I gave you all these things, all these negative things. Now what? How do we avoid landing in that burnout? The first thing that we want to know is we want to stay organized, right? they say, my husband always laughs because he's very OCD, but his desk is always a mess. For me, I need to be organized. Oh, that's you, Natalie? That's funny. Yeah, I mean, he's so OCD. And so for me, I see it and it drives me nuts. So I go and organize it. And then he goes crazy because he doesn't know where anything is. So whatever your level of organization is, do that. If you're sharing an office with your spouse and you're both in the same business, it gets tough. I need to like put a blinder next to our desks, right? But just make sure that you have a level of organization. That includes your time management, which we're going to go into a little more, your physical, your technical organization, all that is needed. And what is a tool that we as realtors have and real estate agents have that makes it so much simpler to remain organized? A CRM, your KV Core, your dot loop, whatever you guys are using. Make sure that you're using your CRM to its best ability. Using that CRM is going to help you stay organized. So you must make sure you're doing that. If you have a plan, you guys know I'm big on business plans. You're not going to be directed by the market for any external reason. So if you don't have a business plan, start one today. It doesn't have to be January to December. You can start it today and end it a year from now. But you want to make sure you have a business plan. I'm not going to go deep into the business plan because that's a whole other class. But you want to have your goals set. You want to have your mission and vision and your values and your USP, your unique selling proposition. You want to make sure that you know what your goals are. What are you trying to reach so that you are able to make sure that you're not directed by the market? If you have a business plan and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't matter if the rates go up to 20%. It doesn't matter if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. You will succeed if you have a business plan. So you need to be in real estate intentional. Intentional. But of course, being intentional in real estate requires logistics and strategy, right back to that business plan. The lack of preparation, the lack of training, that can cause burnout. You guys are ahead of the game because you're here. You're taking classes, you're learning. You're all, from what the ones I know are successful realtors, and here you are taking classes. You could probably teach me. But the reality is we all learn from each other. And the more classes and the more training you take, the better you will become. The day you stop learning is the day you're going to fail. The most successful top producing agents in the country all are in classes every single week. I've spoken to many of them. I go to the Tom Ferry summits. They're all in classes every week. They take summits, they take sessions, they take coaching because they know what is required to remain away from burnout. So you do need to know the market in order to avoid burnout. Because a lot of times burnout comes from a buyer that might have been Googling and having Dr. Google and college US, Google University teach them everything about the real estate market. And they've gone to Zillow and they've gone to all the different websites and they know more about the market than you do. And then you become frustrated because they're controlling you and they're just using you because you have a license that they don't. So you need to be the one in control. You need to know the market. The more you know the market, the more you know your neighborhood, your farm, and the more you understand the real estate process, the better chance you have to avoid burnout. And of course, use your broker support. Unless you're your own broker, if you're your own broker, find other brokers to get support with. But if you're in a company that has broker support, I know in our company, broker support is huge. The ones that are here that are from my office know that they can call me at any point in time. I will answer the phone. I will talk to you. If I can't answer the phone, email me. I will email you back because broker support is so important. And I am confident that most of your brokers will do the same thing. And that's huge, because we are required as brokers to be checking and knowing everything we're teaching you. So use your broker support, use your colleagues, use anybody you know. Don't be afraid of the competition. Become friends with your competition. Know your competition. I mean, I'm in a neighborhood where we have 3 agents that all go after the same people, and we are having lunch on Sunday, most of us. Yeah, they're all coming over for my husband's birthday. We all talk, we all communicate. We don't get upset if one of us gets the listing that we all went for, but we learn from each other. We might say, hey, why did you get that listing and not me? Learn from feedback. Don't be upset about failures. A failure is only if you make it a failure. Every failure can become a learning experience. We are who we are because we've learned from our failures. Now, if you continue making the same mistake and you're not doing anything to rectify that, then that's a problem. But you want to learn from your failures. And then, of course, you have to learn to say no. Have goals and priorities. So often I hear the burnout agents saying, well, my seller told me I needed to clean her house, paint her house. I don't know, I'm being sarcastic, right? But, to babysit her kids and, whatever else in order to get the listing. And I have to do an open house 5 times a month. No, you guys are the experts. Learn to say no, learn to walk away. I would have walked away from any listing that says, you've got to do an open house every week. I will do an open house if I feel it's going to benefit your listing. Let me look at your listing. Let's see if it's going to benefit. Oh, you're in a gated community where nobody can even come in. Why are we doing an open house? That we've got to figure out, strategize, know to say no. Oh, well, the other agent said they would lower their commission. That's nice. I have value. So I'm not lowering my commission. Go with that other agent, because that agent's going to end up burnt out by giving away their paycheck all the time. So know to say no, know to walk away, and be okay with walking away. If you're not okay with walking away, that's going to be stressful, but you have to be at peace about walking away. So the better you understand where home buyers are coming from and you empathize with them too, that's going to help you. Right? And you're going to understand your client and understand how to walk away. The purpose, and then know your why. That goes right back to our business plan. Knowing your why is huge. If you don't know why you're in this business, if you don't know why you're doing this, you're not going to have the passion. I mean, I hope every one of you today can write down why you're doing real estate. If you can't, you need to sit down and think about that. Why are you doing real estate? If it's just for a paycheck, which it might be for some people, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you're not going to have that passion if you don't have a why that's beyond the paycheck. For me, I love working with buyers and sellers and seeing them get into their home, right? And I'm sure that's common with each one of you. It's an exciting thing when they're so excited and they're like, wow, Amina helped me get into this house. I'm so excited. Amina, I love this house. Thank you, thank you, thank you, right? Know your why. Understand your reasoning, and that's going to fuel that purpose, and be excited about that purpose. And of course, set limits. That goes right back to knowing your no. Saying your no, being able to say no. You have to know your limits. And part of setting your limits is all of a sudden you get a transaction or a listing possibility in South Georgia, and you don't go to South Georgia. But hey, it's a listing. I'm going to take it. No, set your limits, guys. Refer that out. You're going to get burnt out if you're trying to concentrate on the entire state of Georgia. Have your referral agents, have your referral network. Don't try to make yourself so out there that you're selling homes in North Georgia, South Georgia, Middle Georgia, Central Georgia. You're going to drive yourself crazy. And guess what? You might not get the best review if you don't know everything that's happening around that market. So set your limits, understand your limits. Or another example is commercial. You've never done a commercial deal, but your friend says, I want you to help me find a restaurant. No, first of all, that's actually a violation if you're a realtor. because the realtor code of ethics tells us to not work outside of your specialty. So don't do it unless you know it. You're not helping that person and you're not helping you. Refer them out. I've had people do that. I'm licensed in Florida. I had somebody sell me or call me and say, hey, can you help me sell my old church? It was a piece of land that the church owns right in front of my church. They're like, well, you're licensed down here. Can you help us? No, it's going to require more than what I can do from Georgia. So I'm not going to try to go outside of my scope. Do what's within your scope and do it well. You know I'm trying to think, don't be a jack of all trades, because if you're a jack of all trades but a master of none, you're not going to do yourself or anyone a favor. Time management is huge. Who here, by a raise of virtual hands, has a true time block that they follow 100% of the time or close to 100%? Anybody? Wow, I don't see a single hand up. That's a good way to end up in burnout. You want to make sure you, somebody unmuted themselves.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
do. I have a block time, like 3 days out the week.
Awesome. That's great. I love that, Jacqueline. That's great. You want to have that. If you don't have that, you're going to burn out. But honestly, for me, I feel like you should have time blocks every day, every single day, 7 days a week. I time block my vacations. I time block my education classes. I time block when I'm teaching, when I'm taking classes, when I'm babysitting my grandchildren, anything and everything. You want a time block. If it's not in my calendar, it's not there. It's fictitious if it's not in my calendar. So you want to make sure everything is time blocked. So that's a biggie. And part of time blocking is taking time for yourself. I teach a class on mindset, and part of what we talk about in mindset is doing something for yourself every day. I also have, my husband and I are directors of a marriage ministry. And part of what we tell every couple, because we see couples struggling because they themselves aren't taking time for themselves, as they're doing a lot together, but nothing for each other, for themselves. So that's something we teach everybody. Do something for yourself every day. I showed a bath because that's something that, doesn't cost you any money. You can just go and take a nice bath for yourself, and you just tell your spouse, or you're doing it on your own if you're alone. No phone calls, turning off everything. Just put those nice oils or bath and salts and just relax, right? Got to do whatever it means to do something for yourself. And of course, sleep. And by the way, guys, just like Jacqueline unmuted herself, anybody that wants to comment, just unmute yourselves and talk. I don't get offended. I encourage that, actually.
I'll say so I use my calendar every day, and my personality is very butterfly-ish. So like, my husband hates it about me. I love it about me,
Right.
and then when I became an entrepreneur full time, it got, I don't want to use the word worse, but it was just like I wasn't on anyone's schedule. So I was just like, today I'm doing this today. So how I do time block for my business is I set up, like if I'm doing consultations, I only do it on these days between these hours. So I set it up like, in my calendar, like you can only schedule here. You can only schedule here. This is when I do showings. If I talk to anyone throughout the week, if I'm getting back to them, I'm only getting back to them on Tuesdays. So like things like that help me in my business, because I know that I have to do this anyway. But the other days, like Jacqueline said, I only do that 3 days a week. Yes, because I'm trying to create a life of freedom. So it's like, I can't, my mindset does not operate like every day. You know what I mean? And then I do believe in self-care every day.
Perfect.
Every day I'm doing some things
for yourself.
Great.
And be aware, Shauna, though, when I say time block, that's why I use time block and not calendars or schedules. I mean, you are going to use schedules, but when I say time block, so if you're doing 3 days a week that you're doing consultations, you're still going to time block those other days. They're
Yeah.
just not going to be, they don't have to be by the minute, but they can be, this day is my day. This day I'm spending with my husband. So it's time block for my family. It's time block for school.
Okay.
So you're just, but you know that those days, just like you just said, so, technically you do have everyday time blocked. It's just that the time block for consultations are 3 days a week. So, but you want to have it known, okay, I have these days, or like, if a friend calls you and says, hey, when can we have dinner? Well, I have free time for myself every Thursday. You just kind of have it time blocked. So
Yeah.
you already know where you can be that butterfly. And I'm very spontaneous too, believe it or not. I do like to schedule everything, but I am spontaneous as well. When I say schedule, I do more of my time blocking. So yeah, on Sunday, I'm not going to work.
Right.
Sunday's my day where I do things with my family, go to church, and then go to do things with my family. But that's my time block. I don't know what I'm doing. I do happen to know this Sunday, but I don't usually, we just know we're doing something. Or, my husband will say, hey, let's go on the motorcycle. So we might go on the motorcycle, but it's just one of those.
Risky.
I'm sorry?
Risky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we just came back from Tennessee on the bike. But yeah, whatever it means. But getting sleep, that's been a big challenge for me because I don't sleep. And so getting sleep is so important if you're a really busy realtor or real estate agent. Make sure you are forcing yourself to get whatever sleep it is for you. Like I said, if I get more than 5 hours of sleep, I'm going to be like if I had slept the entire day. That's too much for me, but that's me. So whatever your time needed is, and get that sleep. This has been a blessing. I don't know if you can see it, my your Apple Watch or your Fitbit, because that way it really helps you watch what you're doing, how you're doing it. Which takes me right to the next point, exercise. If you're not exercising, guys, if you're not staying active, at the very least, use your steps on your watch. If you don't have a watch, use your phone, whatever. Try to figure out, for me, because I'm so goal oriented, I have a goal on my watch and I have to hit that goal. You'll see me walking around my room until I get my goal. If it's almost nighttime and I'm like, okay, I got to get my steps in, right? But my husband's like, what are you doing jumping over there? I'm just getting my steps, but you've got to do whatever you have to do for you to get your exercise. And even if it means that you're one of those people that hates exercise. Anybody here hate exercise? Nobody? Wow. I hated exercise. And I say it in the past tense because it took me a bit to get myself in a mindset. But I committed, just like I tell you guys, don't make a plan without making a minimum plan. I said, okay, I'm going to do this for 90 days and try to create a habit. So I hired a personal trainer and I started going to the gym every day. And all of a sudden now, if I don't go to the gym, I freak out. It's like, whoa, I got to get to the gym today. So it created that habit in me. But whatever you do for yourself, exercise wise, you have to do it. Find a time that's consistent. And again, time block that. For me, I go at 6 a.m. Because I know if I leave it till 4 p.m, I'm not going to go. So that's where I tend to start. Even though I have my time block, I'll be like, the weather looks kind of bad, I won't go. And find somebody, an accountability partner. I go with my sister-in-law, so I know that if I don't go, I'm letting her down. So find a way to make it happen for you. I mean, I've lost about 60 pounds in a year, and that's maybe more. I don't look at the scale that often, but I did it based on a goal. I do have a goal, a weight goal. And I had a goal. More importantly, I kept looking at that number and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I finally just said, my goal is to exercise. I'm not going to look at the numbers. And I've been able to achieve it by doing that. You know your own personality. If it means a number, if it means getting to the gym, if it means getting steps, taking a walk, going to the pool, whatever it means. But exercise, and of course, there's so many studies that you guys all have read and heard, will help your mental clarity. Without exercise, your mental clarity is going to be affected. So just have a goal. I have a friend of mine who lost 320 pounds when she lost it, her goal was to be on stage in a bodybuilding competition. She knew she wasn't going to win. She wasn't totally in shape, but her goal was to step on that stage. And she did. And she did amazing. So whatever your goal is, if you're a competitive person, which she is, for her, it was that. For her, it was getting on stage. You know, whatever your goal needs to be, just find that. And that again goes right back to that business plan. Figure it out with your business plan. Meal planning, especially for any of you guys that have a family or young kids, meal planning is huge. For me, it's just my husband and me at home. So, and I'm a vegan and he's not. So it's a little harder, but I meal plan. And that way I go to the grocery store one day, I have everything set up, it's all good. And it's all set up. If that is something that'll help you stay out of the situation where you can get a little burnt out by having to go to the grocery store every day, do that. Plan activities, just like you need to do things for yourself. You need to plan activities with your friends, with your family, your coworkers, your clients. You know, I do my best. My goal is to meet with one client per every 3 days. So basically, I do it per 3 days for a reason. That's just got to do with something I've done in the past. But so every 3 days I meet with somebody, whether it be a past client, a new client, but I go and have coffee and physically meet with them. Do something, lunch, coffee, dinner, whatever. But plan activities. They can be business activities if you're going to enjoy them. I do enjoy my meetings with these clients. So that's why I think of it as activities. The bike trip that we just took, that's an activity I planned with my spouse. You know, whatever you have to do in order to keep yourself sane, for lack of better words. But seek help when needed. Don't get yourself so aggravated on a transaction. You have a really tough agent on the other end, and they're really making you feel like you don't know what you're doing, right? And you're kind of feeling like, oh, I should know that, right? Why is she telling me? What do you mean it's 1.75 for FHA, right? Or what is she talking about, or whatever? Don't be afraid to ask the questions and seek help where needed. Have accountability partners, have mentors. And I don't say mentors in a situation where, you know, it's based on your company. Have people, you can call me, you can call whoever, that whoever you've got that you can call and ask for help when you need it. That's for your business, but also ask for help if you need it emotionally, right? And so once the seeking help, I always use the analogy of men not wanting to ask for directions, right? Have you guys ever experienced that? You're lost and, they just don't want to ask for directions. They will figure it out, right? Of course, not so much now when you have everything on the phone, but back in the day, we had maps and we would be going all over the place. And my husband would be like, I'll figure this out, because he didn't want to seek help. He wanted to feel like, I know what I'm doing. But now he understands the bigger thing to do is seek help when needed. And that applies to personal, private, business, everything. So make sure you're seeking that help. And focus on your strengths, kind of like we talked about with the affirmations. Once you understand, oops, I didn't mean to, that's actually from an old chat, but just focus on your strengths. And what are you really good at in your business? What do you really dislike? If you don't like doing commercial, don't do it. Refer it out to someone. If you don't like doing property management, don't do it. Refer it to someone. Don't think you have to do it. If you don't feel passionate or are strong at it, you might lose that client instead of keeping them and retaining them. So focus on your strengths and partner with others that you're not simply built for. If you're just not good at that, find the person that is and work out a referral with that person. But don't try to be a jack of all trades and a master at none. Don't do things that are outside of your comfort zone, right? Allow yourself to focus more on what you are really good at. If you're really good at selling residential property, but not condos, stick to the residential homes and refer out the condos. That's just an example. Or if you're just really not good at, I don't know, whatever, you get my point. Just, you need to focus on what you are good at. If you focus on that, it's going to change your business, because you're going to be much happier doing what you love to do. It could apply to who you're targeting to, your clients. Maybe you just don't really like working with a first-time home buyer and you prefer working with a seasoned buyer, or maybe you want to stick to a price point, then stick to that price point and refer out everything else, whatever it means for you. And now, don't think of it as avoiding your being outside of your comfort zone. I'm not giving you permission to go and say, oh, that's not in my comfort zone, so I'm not going to do it. No, that definitely is not what I'm saying, because we have to go outside of our comfort zone in order to succeed. But allow yourself to focus on what you're good at, and don't be scared of what you're good at. That means allowing your business and yourself to grow by using those strengths and mastering them, becoming that master, but finding someone else to help you with the rest of it. So again, if you're going to master residential, you master residential and you send out all the commercial. And so I'm going to open it up, because this is one that I really wanted to have a little bit of time of chatting with. So let me go ahead and stop sharing. And let's talk about it a little bit. Is there an area in this in particular that you think you need to improve at, that you've really been good at? What can you share? And unmute yourself, obviously. So everyone's great at it. Come on.
Not me. I have
Okay.
to, like, anytime I get a phone call from clients or buyer or seller, anybody, doesn't matter, 10 o'clock at night, and I was always available. So by hearing you today, I'm gonna set my goal, like, you're not calling me from this time to that time. So that's a good
Exactly.
information. Yeah.
Exactly. And Sada, you're going to be so much less stressed out that way. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell them, hey, I'm available till whatever time works for you, from 9 to 5, whatever, or it could be 11 to 8, whatever your time frame is. But whatever time you decide to do, you tell them that is my availability. I will get back to you the very next day. You want to reach them. When we do business planning, I tell you to time block every day for a certain way. So for instance, Shauna was talking about the consultations that she does. I think it was Shauna and Jacqueline. And you can, what I time block for is like when I was actively selling from 8 to 11, I believe it was, I used to prospect. That was my prospecting time. I would cold call. I would do whatever, but clients would be calling me. My listings would be calling me. My buyers would be calling me, but I had already warned them that I would not answer my phone between 8 and 11. And I would call them back at 11. And I would follow up. Then my follow-up from 11 to 1 was calling back all the people I needed to call back with. And then from 1 to 3 was following up with prospective closings. But what happens is we start setting ourselves. So with the example I gave you, my 8 to 11 was my prospecting. And all of a sudden, I'm also glancing at my email, right? Because we all have all these devices open. And I say, oh, that closing, there's an issue with the closing tomorrow. Okay. And then you hang up from prospecting, you go and you start dealing with that closing tomorrow. And before you know it, you didn't prospect today, right? So you don't even want to look at your email. You don't want to look at anything. Whatever you're doing during that time block, you're doing. If something's falling apart for the closing tomorrow, you deal with it after you prospect or after you're doing whatever you have blocked on that time frame. But you have to be intentional. If you're not intentional, you're going to burn out. And it might not be today, might not be even this year or the next 4 years. But that is the recipe for burnout. So anybody else want to share what they might change in their business coming up, or what they see that they're happy they're doing already, like Jacqueline and Shauna? Okay, Natalie.
I can. For me, it used to be the closing. Sometimes I've had a closing on a Monday. Sometimes I would have it on a Wednesday. And it would just, I find that on a day of closing, if you're not organized with what your closing gift is and all this other stuff. So now when I'm writing up contracts, I treat closing as a payday. So now I try to write my contracts to close on a Thursday or a Friday. And then in my time blocking and in my TC checklist, I put, 3 days before closing, print the documents, order the flowers, get the gift, whatever the case may be. And I found that that has been making me a little bit more smoother and not as, closing days for me just used to feel draining because I just felt like everything is closing. And we're not prospecting on that day. We're not doing anything because it's like when you first go under contract, you'd always just babysit that one file and forget everything else. So now when I'm writing up a contract and I look at the calendar, I'm treating it more like a business or like payday or like an employment situation to know that, okay, Thursday or Friday is pay. This is what you do. And that's given me more mental clarity on my business and so on and so forth.
I love that. I actually used to do that. And the other thing it does, especially if you have a preferred closing attorney you try to use every time, I'll never forget my sellers thought I was so busy because I would try to set up all my closings on the same day and I had them one after another. So I would be giving them the gift and then I'd be like, oh, I'm so glad. Would it be okay if I come over this afternoon? I just have a couple more closings today and then I'll come over. And then I would have one closing after another. And I was there, for 3 to 4 closings all at once.
Wow.
And they just thought that was, it makes you look really good because, you're just literally staying from one closing to another. I will tell you, always make your closings on Friday if you can, because that'll give you the extra days. If you ever have to do a unilateral, you've basically bought yourself 2 to 3 days. If there's a holiday on Monday, you end up with 3 extra days. It's already written into the contract. So that's why I always choose Fridays for closings. But no, that's a great comment. I love that. You also, so with that being said, tools. Are you guys all using your tools? You commented, Natalie, on your TC checklist. Using a TC, guys, yeah, it's an expense. But first of all, so many sellers and buyers are okay paying that extra fee. If you put it into the transaction as, my commission is this plus $325 for a transaction coordinator or $500 or whatever it is. And that way you can rest assured that you're not even babysitting that deal. Let your TC babysit that deal. Use your tools. Make sure you've got it on. And please don't micromanage your TCs, guys. You might as well be doing it yourself if you're micromanaging. I'm telling you that right now. If you have to double check your TC, you need a new TC. But the minute you start micromanaging, I see a couple smiles, then you might as well do it. And I was one of those. I was a micromanager. And so finally my husband's like, I'm not paying for anyone to do it. You might as well just do it. So I basically was always my own TC because I was going to micromanage. So if that's you, then you might as well do it yourself, but just time manage yourself properly. It's not what I would advise. I would advise you to just not micromanage. And get a TC, use your CRM, make sure that the TC knows to use your CRM. Now I use KV Core. Back in the day, I used Top Producer, and I would make sure when I did use a TC that they were writing notes in there. So instead of micromanaging, I could quickly go in there and look at it and say, oh, okay. She did this, she took care of that. And so that way you're not having to make an extra phone call and checking on everything. The other thing is, as far as tools, there was something that you said that I made me think about it. When you are, oh goodness, what was it? Now I'm not even thinking. Oh, BombBomb. That's what I was going to tell you. BombBomb. Again, BombBomb. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but you use BombBomb to talk to your sellers and clients. So instead of making those long phone calls that they're going to be upset with you because it hasn't sold in the last 10 minutes, right? You just listed it 10 minutes ago. Why don't I have multiple offers? But not really. But say you checked on the feedback over the weekend. First of all, I never promised my seller a lot of feedback. I personally always told my sellers, and I was mainly a listing agent. I always told my sellers, if I'm not calling you with feedback, it's because there's nothing that you can change based on the feedback I found. If I get reputable and good feedback, I'm going to call you and tell you what it is. And now with BombBomb, I would just use BombBomb. Hey, InDrive, I found I got a comment from one of the sellers that maybe you should clean the kitchen a little better because the kitchen just didn't show well and it was a little too cluttered. Do you mind making sure that I'll follow up with you on Wednesday at 2:00, okay? But if you could do me a favor and try to get that done by Wednesday. And I would just BombBomb that. And that way I'm not having to say, well, I don't think it's clutter. I don't, and then we'll talk about it further on Wednesday, but it lets them digest that comment. Whereas if you're calling them with feedback, I always kind of got listings where people would be like, oh, I was told I was going to get feedback every Monday from the agent. I said, they just want to sound, I would always say, you know what? They just want to sound like they're doing something. Because if I'm calling you to tell you that your house is too small for that buyer, there's nothing you can do about that. So why am I even going to bother telling you that? You're just going to feel frustrated. And I would just tell my seller, if it's good feedback, I'm going to call you, or I'm going to send it to you, or I'm going to email it to you. But if it's feedback that you're not going to change, then we need to look at pricing. It's more of a pricing issue and not a feedback issue. Nothing you can do. And because think about it, you get agents that call you and say, oh, they just didn't like how the walls were purple. Okay, you can maybe call them. Maybe you need to paint that house and the inside house room because it's a little too bright, it's too kiddish or whatever. Fine, you can tell them that. But if they call you and they say, well, they just really want a more open floor plan, what's your seller going to say? Oh, well, I guess I have to remove walls. There's not a whole lot they can do. So that's how I presented it. I never had a problem. My sellers usually appreciated the fact that they weren't going to get useless calls. And so it's really, your seller. Some sellers you might have to, but if it's a client that you tell them, what are you hiring me for? Are you hiring me to make your life easier? Are you hiring me to just make sure that I can show you that you hired a realtor, and you're going to do the work anyway. So, BombBomb is BOMB. So it's like a bomb twice. And what it is, it's a video message. Somebody was asking what it was. So yeah, if you look up BombBomb, I know our office offers it as an extra that you pay for $20 a month. I don't know what their normal price is. We just have like a corporate deal. Your office might, so just check it. But basically you can use it for videos. If you look, you guys should be getting my BombBomb videos. Are you getting my BombBomb videos? You guys didn't? Huh. So for the compliance chat, she didn't send me.
I did. Through the
You
email.
did.
Yeah.
But Natalie, you didn't. Shauna, you didn't. Jacqueline didn't. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll have to find out. But usually every week I send a compliance chat telling you what I'm video BombBomb telling you what I'm going to be teaching on. So that's interesting that you guys aren't getting it. I wonder if it's going to your spam. It is an email that comes through with a video. So, but if you're sending it to one person, it probably won't go to their spam because it's just like an email. But obviously if you're sending it, I send it through Constant Contact, so it could be going to your spam. But let me open it up to you guys. Any questions, comments, concerns, disagreement?
Okay. I have something.
Sure.
Okay, I made a client last weekend. So he was telling someone, if I sell my house for 500,000 and that's sufficient for me, I don't need extra. So I told one of his friend, like, if I list his house, I did the CMA and everything, I will sell it for more than 500. So I'll get my commission, and the buyer agent will get their commission. So he will still end up with more than 500. So as soon as he heard that, he called me. He's like, okay, I heard what you say, but can you give me 8,000 from your commission? I'm like, okay, you said you will be happy for 500,000. Now suddenly you heard that your house worth more than 500,000 and you coming after my commission. So I wasn't happy about it. I'm like, I'm not even gonna deal with this person. That's it. And what do you think? What is your suggestion? Should I just,
Well, it's exactly what you did because you're going to set your own personal limits and you're
Yeah.
going to learn to say no, which is exactly what we talked about. If that had been said to me, my answer would be absolutely. I'll give you 8,000 as long as you give me 8,000 of your paycheck. You going to give me your paycheck? Because a lot of times they don't realize or understand that that is your paycheck.
yes.
And so I would just very quickly explain to them, my commission has absolutely nothing to do with the sale of your house. So, and you just have to be very clear with that. It's just like when people ask me, will you negotiate your commission? Sure, we can go higher.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go lower, but we can go higher.
Oh.
Anybody else have a suggestion to give Sada on that comment? I mean, we've all had that buyer. Go ahead, Jack.
Are we like, I'll say, go ahead.
I mean, we do face that issue, but I always try to show my value,
Yes.
and my commission is my salary based on my career. So based on my professionalism, my studies, you get paid more. It's just like if you went for a master's degree. So it is public for what our commission is, which is our salary. And I'm not, gonna reduce that. I never reduce it.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
I never do. And I just let them know that. There's a difference between me and any other agent. I mean, that's just what it is, what I bring to the table. Show your value and then just kind of move on to the next step.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
walk
sometimes
away.
get to them going to work. Would your boss say, hey, today, because we hired John, and he may work a little faster, I'm gonna cut your pay in half. It doesn't take away from your skills that you set. So yeah, I never cut my commission.
No,
So
and thank you, Jacqueline. I agree with you. Don't ever cut your commission if there's no need to, but showing your value, and I think that's what our class was it wasn't last week, but a couple weeks ago. Showing your value is exactly, Jacqueline hit it on the nail. Basically, you're going to tell them, you could tell that client the problem I know there are agents that will reduce their commission, but if they don't have enough integrity or enough confidence in their own value that they can so quickly reduce their own value, how quickly and how good and strong will they be in negotiating the value of your home? You want to tell them, I'm worth it. So you're welcome to go to somebody else, but I'm going to make sure your house gets sold. And I would walk away. And sometimes walking away, and I'm sure being that Jacqueline's been like me as far as not reducing the commission, I know probably several of you are. Sometimes walking away feels really good. Wouldn't you agree, Jacqueline? Oops, I don't know if I got you, but yeah, sometimes walking away is the best thing.
But is it's not, I thought it was illegal to give your commission to anybody.
Oh, no, it's not illegal. You're welcome to do whatever you want with it.
Mm,
It just has to be disclosed.
okay.
But I wouldn't recommend it by any means. I'm with Jacqueline. I don't reduce it.
No, I won't. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, guys, it is noon. I want to value your time. Speaking of value, I will post these PowerPoints. I had to do some stuff on my computer, which is why I haven't done it. But if you want it right away, you can email me. I will. It's not that many people on there today, so I can email it to you directly, as well as the recording. If you want it, just tell me what you want, whether you want the recording or the PowerPoint. And other than that, we do have a GAR versus RE class this week. And then we have classes at max1training.com. Indra, I'm going to answer your question on the chat. So if you want to just stay on for a second while I answer your question. well, I'll just say it. The question was, what's the best CRM to use? The first thing I would say, yeah, and if anyone needs to get off, feel free to get off. What the best CRM to use is really first I check what your office offers. If your office offers a free one, go with that one. You know, why pay? If you don't have a free one, then I personally like KV Core. But really, it doesn't matter what you use. It's just a matter of using something. What was that, Natalie? You're muted.
I was like, what are you going to use as the agent, right?
Yeah.
We get caught up on the shiny objects, but it's what's going to be best for your business, and are you going to commit to using it?
Exactly. Just use something. I don't care if it's a Google worksheet, but just use something. So, but
And a lot of people thrive off of Google Worksheet. There's a very big broker, and I was talking to one of his agents. Says everything that they do is all Google based. But
I love Google.
There's the quote that just says the best one is the one you're going to use.
Exactly. And
I had KV Core before, and I didn't like just the way it looked, so it was hard for me to use it. I need something that looked a little more simple, and so
they've changed it a lot. They've changed it, so it's
they
better
have.
now, because I didn't like it at the beginning either. But I'm a Google person. I love spreadsheets. I'm good with spreadsheets. But it's really, yeah, it's really whatever you want to use. Like she said, the best one is the one you're going to use. And Indra, the main thing is I would first find out if you have a free one, because if you don't have to pay for one, use that one. The reason I like KV Core is because now that I know how to use it and I've been trained on using it and can train in using it, is the ability to market through there, the ability to bring in leads from all sources, and the way it just interacts with other software and apps. But if you're not going to use it to that degree, if it means just first starting with putting your clients in one database, then start with a Google worksheet. But any other comments, questions, concerns about anything? All right. Well, if not, it's always a pleasure seeing all of you beautiful people, and I hope you guys all have a fabulous and successful week. Please also email me any topics you might want to hear about. All right. You guys have a fabulous, fabulous day and week. Bye.
Thank you.